Perfect. Awesome. I'll go into present mode. Well, hi everyone. My name is Kristen. I work at TechPoint. My position at TechPoint is Senior Manager of Program Operations. So really that means that I look over the Xtern program and oversee it, which is really exciting and a lot of fun. So TechPoint, what we are, just to go over that real quick, we're a nonprofit organization, and we're all about building the tech ecosystem here in Indiana. It's what we love to do. It's what we have fun doing. Like I mentioned, we bring Indiana's tech community together as well, in terms of companies, philanthropies, government, universities, and talent to create incredible opportunities for the tech community here in Indiana. Our talent portion, so what I work primarily with is called TechPoint X. We have a few different programs. The one specifically we'll talk about today is Xtern. We have a few other ones along the way too, and I'll go into a little bit about two of those. So Extern, we like to call it the ultimate tech internship experience. It's a 10-week paid full-time internship over the summer with potentially one of 50 or so different companies. So you wouldn't actually be interning with TechPoint, you're interning with companies that we go out and find, ranging in different sizes, ranging in different types. So that from your Eli Lilly, your Cummins, your large scale, for some smaller ones, Springbuck, 120 water as well, and everywhere in between. So it's a great opportunity for an internship. And then we also offer free housing with our program, which is pretty cool because you get to live with the other externs. You create this awesome community amongst yourselves for the 10 weeks that you are interning. It's one of the things that we love about it and find really unique and special to our program. So there is an application process. I'll go into that a little bit more later, but we have so many different universities, students from different universities around the country. We have from 43, I think that's almost up to 45 now, different states from where students apply from. There is a work sample assessment. Again, I'll go into that later, but it's a really cool program. There's about 150, 65 or so students each year. We do also the programming besides the paid internship. TechPoint does programming for social connectivity, professional networking, and also civic engagement and giving back. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to play a quick video here.
There's more to life than school, and there should be more to your internship than work.
Extern is just that. It's the ultimate work-life experience, and it's located right here
in one of the fastest growing tech hubs in the United States, Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Experience everything this 10-week program has.
Work alongside industry leaders in one of Indy's many premier tech companies.
Make lifelong connections with more than 100 other brilliant minds.
And experience the vibrancy the city has to offer.
There's plenty of things to do, places to eat, sights to see.
And it's all surrounded with a thriving tech scene waiting for you.
Waiting for you.
It's no wonder Indy is rated one of the top cities for young professionals.
The best part, your housing is completely free and located mere blocks from the heart of downtown.
Submit your application today.
Submit your
application today.
And join us for the best summer of your life.
First, we went out of present mode. Hold on. Let me go back. There we go.
Nice to see someone with an Earlham shirt right in the middle of the video.
Right, we threw that in just for you. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So that was definitely filmed and everything before COVID as well. So just want to give that quick caveat. So, all right, there's the video. There's what I'm looking for. All right, so one of the cool things about our program is 94% of externs satisfaction with employers. So our externs love the employers that they're working with, the opportunities that they get. They have an incredible time. And then down here in the corner too, 97% of our employers are satisfied with our externs. So we're really finding top talent, and we're excited to have you all apply as well, hopefully. So those are just some fun numbers and facts there. Now, okay, timeline. This is probably what you're looking for through the admissions process. Is definitely unique. There's a process to it. So right now we're actually accepting applications. I'll in a few seconds put up a QR code where you guys can take a picture of it and then fill out that form at that point. And then that once you complete and submit that form within minutes, you should actually be getting an email sent to you with the application link. So once you get that email, you have the application link, go ahead, click on it, fill it out. It will probably take you less than 2 minutes, or sorry, not 2 minutes, about 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes to complete the application. It's actually a pretty low lift application. So if you have your resume good to go, should be pretty easy. So we're currently accepting applications today until October 11th is our deadline. So we've had many roll in over the past few weeks, which has been really exciting. So October 11th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time is our deadline for your application. Then at that point, over the next 2 days, our team, we go ahead and we review the application. So we look at your resume, we look at your application itself, and then on October 13th, that evening, we will go ahead and move you on to the next round potentially, which is called the work sample assessment. And you'll get more information into that from one of our other speakers today, which is great. So the work sample assessment, that's really where you get to show off your skills. It's really you want to be able to show what you're able to do. It's a prompt that is built by industry professionals and professors from a number of different universities. And it is a prompt for your specific or internship that you apply for. So you have a few days to do it. It will probably take you a couple hours, but that's just kind of some information about that there. So October 19th, at that point, you send everything back to us. There is a grading process for your work sample assessment, again, by different industry professionals and professors. And then what happens is if you move on to the next round, send out your entire application, all of your information to our employers who are looking for externs for next summer. And they have a week or so, a few days to review it, as you can see here. So then at that point, they reach out to us and say, hey, I really would like to meet with this student, this student, and this student. They let us know about that. November 12th. Someone just perfect muted. Then on November 12th, what happens is if you were invited to come to Fall Finalist Day, November 12th, mark that on your calendar, you will interview actually with 3 to 5 different companies. At the end of the day, you create a rank list, companies have a list, there's this huge algorithm that happens that matches people together. And then at that point, by Thanksgiving, you'll actually know who you're interning with for next summer, which is really exciting. And you can go on break, or you guys are on different systems, but you can go, you'll already know exactly who you're interning with for next summer with free housing and a paid internship. So pretty cool in terms of the process. It's definitely a rigorous process, but we're really excited to have you apply. So like I mentioned, Fall Finalist Day, we'd love to have it in person, but unfortunately this year we've decided to go virtual again, which worked out phenomenal last year. So we're going to go ahead and do virtual again this year. So hopefully one day we'll get back to in-person Fall Finalist Day, because it's pretty cool. So I mentioned earlier, there's different roles. There's actually 15 different positions of internships you can apply for, depending on what you're looking for. So these are those options. On the website, you'll also see them as well. So we have business skilled roles. We also have technical skilled roles. So yeah. So I mentioned we have a few other programs. I'm going to go really quick. The grid is actually a program that we have that's after Xtern. It's after any of our programs that you do. This is all about finding you a full-time job here in Indiana. So we send your information out to different employers. We help you find a job here in addition to your own outreach. And then once you land a job here, we do some fun programming as well, similar to what we do for Extern in terms of social, civic engagement, giving back to the community, and professional development. So it's a little unique, and we definitely want to keep our awesome talent here in Indiana for a full-time job when you're ready for that. The SOS challenge, this is a unique experience. It actually was created in 2020 when a lot of our students and employers weren't able to have internships. So what we created was a skills program. So it's boosting your skills. You're thrown on a team with about 5 to 6 different people. We go out into the community and ask them for problems that they were currently having. So obviously back in 2020, when everything was really ramping up over the summer with COVID, we went out to the community, and for example, restaurants were like, I don't have people coming to my restaurants. And so that was the problem. Students, which are on a Go squad and a Pro squad, so there's the business side and the technical side, they work together to create a solution to problems. There's a cool prize pool at the end. You can divide up some winning money. There's different winners, so it's pretty unique. So if Xtern doesn't work out or isn't the perfect fit for you, the SOS challenge is an awesome option as well. Okay, here's a QR code I mentioned. I've tried this multiple times as well as other people. So hopefully you guys can get this on your screen right now. But this is our Extern application. If you can go ahead and fill out this virtual form, and then this will, at this point, once you complete that form, it's like a 2-second form just for some basic information, then you will get an email with the application link. You can also find the application and more details on our website at techpoint.org /Extern. So super easy to remember on that one. All right. So again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to contact us. The best way is emailing us at x@techpoint.org. All right, so thanks so much for listening to my PowerPoint and pitch about Xtern, and we're really excited for your application. I'm going to stay on for any other questions along the way, but I believe I'm passing it on. So I'm going to stop sharing. I will throw this up here for 1 second. Yep, here we go. All right.
So the way the rest of this will go is thank you, Kristen, so much for that. It was a really great PowerPoint, and I'm glad to know about the other programs as well. So what we'll do from now is talk with David Barbella, who is currently a professor at Earlham, who has a little bit of knowledge on how to successfully complete a work assessment, especially for those computer science related students who are interested in those fields. So, and then after David is finished, then I will talk about resumes, especially since everyone has to submit resumes, going over the basics of a resume really quick, and then we'll leave some time at the end for a short question and answer. Okay, so take it away, David.
Hello, everybody. My name is David Barbella. I'm looking at the chat. I don't know whether I've had any of you in class yet, but if any of you do decide to take more computer science classes, you may have me eventually.
Wisdom, I just shared it with you.
I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Where was I? Yes. Anyway, I've been teaching at Earlham College for about 6 years. In those 6 years, I think every year that we've been involved in Extern, we've had students do internships through the program. We're not one of the, we're a relatively small school, but despite that, every year we still have students make it through the program, or at least almost every year, hard data. My role in the process, besides teaching classes that hopefully are useful preparation, is I every year am involved in doing the technical screen, the work assessment for the software engineering track. I normally like to meet with students about sort of what the criteria that are used for evaluating those things are. This year, unfortunately, the push that we're making is kind of during finals week, so and also during a global pandemic, so not everybody's on campus, but I would still like to kind of go over a few of the things that we're typically looking for. I'm not directly involved or even really indirectly involved with the work assessments that are not the software engineering work assessments. So Kristen, you likely know a lot more about those than I do. You probably also know more about the software engineering one than I do. So if I say anything that's like, that's not really how we do it for these, let me know. But essentially the way that the screening or the work evaluation works is, and Kristen mentioned this, the work assessment looks like you're given a problem or a series of problems to solve in the software engineering, or to address, I should say. In the software engineering track, I guess, typically there's 3 each year. I think some of the other tracks are more likely to be like one larger one, but they may also be broken into smaller pieces. Is that correct? Yeah, and so at least in the software engineering one, I don't think this is true of all of them, but at least in the software engineering one, some of your work is automatically evaluated by a machine. That's new, and that's convenient for eliminating potential bias and things like that. It's also convenient for us in making it go faster. But there's some things that we're looking for that can't be evaluated necessarily automatically by a machine. We're looking for things like good programming style. We're looking for things like, are your comments clear and effective? Is your code clear and clean and easy to understand? One of the things that distinguishes code that or submissions, because there's also written portions even in the software engineering one. One of the things that distinguishes okay submissions from submissions that end up moving on to the next stage is it really does represent kind of the highest quality of care and things. And I have a form that I can send around to people that's some of the individual specific things we're even looking for in terms of how you're communicating what you're thinking about, how you're naming things and things like that. But Kristen mentioned that number of students who are going through the application process is substantially higher from the number of students who become finalists. And what really helps work stand out, and I'm happy to, maybe I'll talk to, are we getting the names of the people who are involved in, who are the students who are here?
We are, but for the students who all of the students who are joining, could you please put your Earlham email in the chat? Thank you, so we can keep track. And this is also being recorded, so it'll be available later on as well. Thank you.
Yeah, so I have here, in the interest of time, I'm not gonna go through it, but I have basically a set of notes that I from discussions with folks at TechPoint and my experiences in evaluating it, that are basically the things that we're typically looking for every year on the software engineering side of things that I'm happy to share with everybody. Not all of these things necessarily apply. I guess I can share my screen quickly, although in the interest of time, I'm not necessarily going to. Can I share my screen? I can't. I'm not going to go through all of them, but some of the big things that we're looking for, and I think may generalize to other work assessments as well, is we're looking to see how people think. So if someone writes a piece of code that basically does most of the right things, that's not necessarily going to kind of hit all the points in the rubric. We're looking to see how people think. We're looking to see how people approach the problem. A big thing that matters is just reading the directions carefully. A lot of the time, things don't necessarily receive the highest evaluation they could receive because the student does something that is not quite what was asked for. Another thing that's important, and I think this might also generalize to certain other types of scenarios, is considering all the different cases. Again, often the difference between an okay response and a great response is that the great response considers multiple different possibilities. So this is a software engineering example, but if the input is a list of names, and they tell you the input to this function is going to be a list of names, if you're given an empty list, a list with no names in it, your code should still do something sensible in that case. And these are the sorts of things that help distinguish an okay piece of code from a piece of code that's going to end up, high enough in the threshold that it ends up moving on to the next round. I'm happy to share this document with anybody who's interested, particularly if you're interested in software engineering. And I'm also happy to meet with students individually to go through this. Normally, I would like to meet with students in person. With the pandemic and the break, that may not be possible this year, but I still do want to make sure that students who are applying for software engineering, or I'm happy to talk about other programs, but I may not know as much about them, are kind of aware of kind of what we're looking for and kind of what the standards typically are. Is anyone, I guess we're doing questions at the end, but if anyone has any questions at the end, I'll be around for that. And I'm really excited to see folks here, and hope folks are excited to.
Thank you so much, David. So again, everyone who is in attendance now, this will be recorded. So the things that you were not able to hear earlier on in the session, it will be all in the video. And also some follow-up information. David, Barbella, and myself have more information for students who are interested in applying. Again, the deadline is October 11th, right, Kristen? Yes, at 11:59 Eastern time.
Yes, exactly.
So again, I'm going to go over what makes a clear, concise, basically pretty resume, in the hopes that you all take heed to my advice for the initial application portion. And then after that, we'll have time to address anyone's questions or anything like that. Okay? All right, great. So I'm going to share my screen now. One thing that you all may not have heard, because you came on a little bit later, when Kristen was going through her presentation, one thing that kept popping out to me was community. And another thing that kept popping out to me was involvement in Indianapolis. Okay, so that's going to be important when we talk about things. It's very important that you all do work that is exceptional and not just work that is passing. So what I mean by that is, don't just put together your materials at the 11th hour. Come see a career coach or go see David. Or if you have any questions, can they ask you, Kristen? Can they email and ask you?
Yeah, they can email. Here, I'll put it in the chat. x@techpoint.org is the best place.
Okay, great. Great. So this is not something that you want to, put together at the 11th hour. Really take time to make sure you're putting together really quality documents. And also, when it comes to the work assessment, making sure that you're not just putting together materials that are just considered what we would consider in school passing, but really your best work. Okay, so the resume, a really good resume is going to be a document that is easily skimmable and addresses the needs of the opportunity that you're applying to, in this case, extern. So usually resumes, what I like to tell students is resumes are documents that are supposed to be the outline of you as an individual. The analogy that I love to use time and time again, a resume is a document that, if you were thinking about it as a human being, the resume is the bare skin and bone, is the bare bones of you as an individual. It's your foundation. And then the other subsequent application materials offer more information, but this document is really supposed to be a document that someone can skim and get as much information as possible while skimming. That's a little bit hard, but today I will address a little bit of that information. Here is an example resume of something that I would hope is similar to what you would submit. Your name and your contact information is at the top. It's the clearest thing. Because what does this information mean if no one knows how to get a hold of you or what your contact information? Another thing about the resume is it has to be tailored to the opportunity, again, in this case, extern, and what they're looking for in successful candidates. So if you're a tech student or a marketing student or something like that, it's not just, can you do tech-related things and perform tech-related skills, but are you getting involved in your community? Are you being proactive in your learning when it comes to tech and business? Are you taking on projects on your own and being really proactive and taking initiative on your own? Because TechPoint is trying to, from what I heard in Kristen's presentation, they're trying to build a community of great minds. So it's not just enough for you to be someone who wants to code all day, but are you going to be active in the community and things like that? So through a tailored resume, you should be able to present that information in a way that someone can easily place you in the program in the big picture. Okay, so you're going to want consistent formatting. These headings are ways for you to, so like in this resume, you have education, management, finance experience, community involvement, project work, other community involvement, and skills. These headings are going to be a way for you to really point the reviewer in to the direction of where they're going to find the information that they want to see the most, and really being intentional about how you word these headings. So for example, I say community may be something that's very important. So here you have the community involvement section. Or, you know, of course, the management experience is going to be very important as well. Here in this section, you have information that's related specifically to management, and then project work experience as well. Like I said, for those students who are wanting to come across as really those students who take initiative and things like that, consider these types of headings. And then making sure that your formatting is consistent and clean. So making sure that if you create one type of formatting such that, for example, in the management experience, you have project manager in bold and the location is italicized, then you want to make sure you follow that same consistent formatting throughout the whole document, and really making sure that you go the extra mile to keep this document neat and clean. And then really one of the most important things about this document is going to be your bullet points, because that is what describes to a reviewer that you can do the work or you do have the skills that are required to partake in this opportunity. So a good bullet point description is going to focus on not your responsibilities, but the value you are able to bring to any certain experience. So it doesn't matter that I'm a career coach and I coach students. Of course I do. That's in my job description. That's my responsibility. But what value did I bring to my job? Did I increase student engagement by 15% by creating workshops and a welcoming environment? That's the type of thing that we're talking about when we say emphasize your value and not necessarily your responsibilities. It may be hard to conceptualize that, so there's a really quick and easy formula for doing that. Start with a very impactful verb that will really catch the reviewer's attention. So for example, if you say help, change that to assisted and go even further and say, how did you help and assist in that experience? A good bullet point also answers as many questions as possible. So asking yourself, what did I do? What methods did I take to complete that project? And what were the results of my project? And also quantifying things whenever possible, because we're trying to show a reviewer rather than telling them what we're able to do. You do that with numbers. So for example, instead of saying graded assignments on a regular basis. You say graded assignments on a weekly basis so that a reviewer can easily conceptualize what exactly you're talking about and you create a more concrete picture for them. And so whenever you can provide numbers like TA'd a class of 15 students, for example, that's something that's going to work in your favor. So I highlighted in this example resume a bullet point description that kind of encompasses what I'm talking about. So carried out extensive research on commercial bank management products and services to update and maintain company website and associate procedures. The what he did was update, maintain company website and associate procedures. The how he did it was carried out extensive research on commercial bank management projects. Notice the method isn't necessary. Well, method and how you do something can be kind of related. He did not mention, this person did not mention results. And it's important for me to say that sometimes you can't answer all of those questions that I mentioned, but answering as many as possible so that someone can really understand what skills you have and how you have implemented that in the past so that they have evidence that you can carry out what they're wanting you to carry out in a potential internship or in this program. And of course, a skills section where you go through your hard skills, things that you can easily demonstrate on the top of the hat. So this student knew Python, R, CSS, financial reporting, strategic planning, and things like that. So again, going over what I said, keeping things as consistent and as clean as possible, making sure that you are really getting into detail with these bullet point descriptions and making sure that these headings point the reviewer into the places that they want to see these skills and these experiences that you've had. Okay, so that's all I've got to say. Again, I myself, Eboni Stevens, am a career coach for the visual and performing arts, the students interested in tech, and also students majoring in global management and like fields. Although I can career coach anyone. If you need help with your resume, please contact me. Don't hesitate to contact me. And so that's all I've got to say. Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, you're muted. There you go.
You'd think I'd be used to this already, but I'm not. Again, we were having some technical difficulties. There were some students who weren't able to get in because of the link. I don't know why. But again, for those interested, for those here and those who knew of students who were interested and couldn't get in, let them know that this will be available on the cgce.earlham.edu website after this info session. So yeah. Yes, Maida.
Yeah, I just had a question for, Kristen, as to what is something, which you specifically look for in applicants. I know that, leadership qualities, past experiences, but what is something that, which makes you go like, I need this person in my team?
It's a good question. Definitely the things you've mentioned and what everyone has mentioned. And to be honest, it depends on company to company. And that's the cool thing, is that have this application that's going to go out to so many different companies, and they're going to see different things that are, oh, that's really cool, or I need this, or looking for that. So be you, put on there what you find passionate and what you've done. I think that's super successful into finding a good match with the company potentially, and then finding a good match with you. So that's what I would recommend.
Thank you.
Any questions about Xtern, the programming? What do we do? We go to baseball games or the zoo sometime. Civic engagement, giving back. We sometimes work with younger students who are interested in STEM, which is a lot of fun. We've done hackathons in the past. Don't quote me on any of this because it changes from year to year. But cool, fun things with that. Any questions? Housing, free housing I mentioned. We're working out details on exactly where that's going to be next year, but it will be in Indianapolis. And we're hoping in person. We did in person this year as well. So obviously we're watching COVID, and as we all are, and we want to err on the side of safety for sure. So that's that. Any questions on that?
Yeah, sorry, I had a question. Like, would it be possible for people to do it online?
That's a good question. Yeah, like a remote option. So this year, so 2020, it was all completely remote. There were a handful that were dropped, unfortunately, as well. It was just rough for everyone, as we know. 2021, this summer, we had an option for remote or in person in terms of living. So you could live on campus or you would be remote. We found that to have the full experience and the best experience and be the most successful, you needed to be in person. So for this summer, we're going to do in-person housing for everyone to be part of the program. And then the interesting part is going to be those companies. So companies, as we know, are always changing every day or every hour. We all seem to be at this point with COVID. But our companies could potentially be in person, so you'd be in person living with the other externs. We do find that so beneficial for the community aspect. Building a professional network too. Those are students who are also going to be in your field in the future. So they're great connections that you're building and bonding, which is pretty cool. So companies this past summer were in person. So you'd be going into the office. Some were hybrid. So into the office some days, remote other days, and some were fully remote companies. But you were still, this next summer, are going to be living here in Indianapolis, learning about the community, which is pretty cool as well. So that's how we're going to do it next summer. And that's where we find the most value for students who are in person living in housing. But you have some of those options. We're hoping to look into a co-working space potentially. Don't quote me on that again, or have some good options for that potentially. But we found that students who were living together and were still in remote internships ended up working together with students from different companies, which is cool, or going to a coffee shop and working. So kind of some flexibility in terms of the companies. They're a little bit different in every way, but in terms of housing, we want everyone to be in person living in Indianapolis. Good question.
There's a student on campus now who's a senior. Her name is Winnie. She actually got an internship with Sally Mae through Xtern. And exactly what Kristen is talking about is what Winnie experienced. I had the chance to visit her during the summer. And she was talking to me about how she was living in, I think she was living on Butler's campus, Butler University's campus. And the work schedule was a hybrid one where she was able to, go into the office some days and work remotely other days while being on Butler's campus. And really the cohort building that she was able to participate in, Winnie specifically said that she liked that. I have a question, Kristen, and that is, as far as school years, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, which students are you looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. So we typically target sophomores and juniors. That's who we're looking for. Freshmen have definitely applied and have gotten in before. So it kind of depends in that regard, but I would say our target is sophomore, junior, heavily leaning more towards juniors. For seniors, unfortunately, we find that they are looking for a full-time job in May. They don't want an internship. So definitely more towards the sophomores and juniors.
If a senior was interested in an internship, especially being that extern is a paid internship, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had seniors do it in between grad school. So if they're then going into grad school after, or in first year of grad school, going into second year of grad school as well. We do have grad students sometimes. So it's kind of the whole gamut of options in terms of what year you are, as long as it's a good fit for you and commit to it in November, then we're all in.
So as a career coach, if you are a senior, I am definitely telling you to apply, because I'm going to assume the majority of you do not have jobs secured for the summer. So this would be a great experience for you in the meantime. So please, please, please apply. And also, if you do not get in this year, don't let that discourage you. Apply again next year. There are Earlham students who have had similar things happen. They didn't get in one year, but then they got in the next year. So if you should apply and your application isn't as successful as you would hope, don't let that discourage you from ever applying again. Continue to apply, and we will continue to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those things is the SOS challenge that I briefly mentioned. That's a cool skill builder. Saying and putting that on your resume can definitely help you get into extern for the next year too. So pretty cool.
Are there any more questions before I let all of you go?
Sorry, I have one more question. So what is the likelihood of students getting into the program as a junior? Or I don't know, like, do you prefer certain experiences or like certain courses, or I don't know.
Yeah, good question. I would say because you are a junior, you have more of those courses under your belt from your university or college. And I think that's what can be successful. You've also had another year in being involved in the community or being involved in different clubs and organizations, which can lead to different projects as well and things added to your resume. But it honestly can change, and different companies are going to be looking for different things on their resume, as I mentioned before. So it's hard for me to give like a certain answer in terms of some of those questions.
But to all of the students here, listen to what Kristen's saying. She's now mentioned project work, community involvement, and of course, coursework. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you had a job or an internship. Making sure that you are at least listing the coursework that you have that's relevant to the experience that you're wanting to apply to. But also, it doesn't matter where or how much you got paid. Those projects that you do in class, like, those are important. Those are equally as important. No one cares that it took place in a classroom, just that it took place and you exercised those skills. Volunteer experience, again, community involvement, all of those things. So don't sell yourself short or think, oh, I haven't had an internship or I haven't had a job in the past. That doesn't matter. I'm sure we can find experiences that you've had in the past that will help you in your application materials.
Mm-hmm. And I'd also say jobs too, if you've had not necessarily like corporate fancy job or anything, but like jobs if you've worked at Kroger or different things like that. Like, we want to see that you can manage your time well, and have done things outside of holding a job too. That takes work.
So time management, community involvement, and project work. How is it that you're going to, in your resume, demonstrate that in the experiences that you've had in the past? You've given really good clues, Kristen. I hope everybody understands what I'm saying.
I like to throw some fun in there. It's the fun of hopping on. Awesome.
Yes, yes. Okay. So again, my name is Eboni Stevens. I'm a career coach. I'll throw my email address in the chat if anyone wants help with their resume or filling out their application. Again, the application deadline is October 11th. David Barbella is also a resource for you to utilize if you have questions about the application and things like that as well. David, do you mind putting your email in the chat? Thank you, Juan. I accidentally sent my email to Juan and not everyone. Juan put my email in the chat. And then Kristen's is there as well. Thank you so much, Kristen and David. Thank you to all the students who took the time to come during your break. It was good to hear from you all. Okay. So thank you, everyone.
In particular, for anyone who's just showing up now, if you're interested in applying in software engineering, definitely do reach out to me. I have a kind of specific list of things we typically look for, and I'd like to go over that with you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your break.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.